you need to do as you begin to plan for your business? What are those things that you must be mindful of? Then the last but not the least is we're going to talk about some of the things that you need to be mindful of when you are getting started in your business. Those are things that we're going to be covering today, and I will encourage you to please ensure that you stay till the end, because you're going to be learning quite a number of insights, not just on each of this, but as a collective as well. So, startup essentials, we are going to dive straight into it. I am ready. I hope you are, and let's just make this happen right about now. So, let's start with ideation. Ideation. What essentially is ideation? I shared with you earlier. Ideation essentially focuses on the entire process of coming up with an idea and conceptualizing the idea for a business. People oftentimes talk about how, ideas come to them. A lot of people talk about the fact that they're in the shower and they're in the shower and ideas come to them in the shower. I don't know what is special about the shower that makes a lot of people get ideas in the shower. But the thing is, ideas come to us many times, but sometimes we're even looking for the right idea to implement. We can't figure it out. And sometimes the ideas that come to us in the shower or at other places do not seem to be they might seem to be a good idea on the surface, but by the time we begin to probe into them, we might observe that, oh, there are letdowns around that idea that would not make it a suitable idea for a business. So how essentially do you go about ideation, especially if your intent is to start a business? So there are 5 critical points that you have to work on. There are 5 critical points that you have to work on as a person in the process of ideation. Now, the first thing is passions and frustrations. Now, passions and frustrations, why have I included this? A lot of your ideas will come either from your place of passion or from your place of frustration. So if you're trying to think about what ideas you can build a business around, think about first the things you're passionate about. Think about the things that spur you on, those things that excite you, those things that you enjoy doing. So think about those things. That's what I'm referring to as passion. In the place of passion, you're going to find things because you're passionate about it. You're sometimes you get animated about it, because when you see that thing, you're so excited. You wish it could be yours. You wish you could do it. You wish it could be done this way or that way. Ideas begin to flood into your head with regards to how we could get better. All of that happens because of passion, right? But it's not only passion, right? Even the things that you're frustrated about. If there's something that constantly frustrates you, that is an indication to you that there is something there to be explored. It is an indication to you that there is something there to be explored. There are people who started businesses because of the negativity that they saw in one area or the other within their immediate environment. And because of that, they got frustrated with it. Because of that, they decided to start something. I mean, I remember in 2017, so a little bit of history. I run an organization called Competence Africa. We do some amazing work there. We train young people, especially right now, we're focused a lot on undergraduates and recent graduates, people at the beginning of their career journey. We train them on skills, commercial skills and commercial competencies, which essentially are skills that they can use to make money or to be productive in a workplace and all of those. So we train them on quite a number of other things, right? Now, Competence Africa was founded in 2017, and it came from a place of frustration. What was the frustration? Now, at the time, my business was 2 years old. So I also run a consulting business called Enterprise Hill, where we provide accounting and tax related services to small businesses, right? So Enterprise Hill was started in 2015. We provide accounting and tax and accounting software related services to small businesses. So 2016 went by, 2017 went by, all through 2016 and the early part of 2017, we had a critical challenge. As a business, we were not big, we were small ourselves. So, and we were still growing, we were growing organically. So we did not have the cash flow, right, to hire people with great experiences, people that have done this over and over again, that once we hire them and we onboard them, it's going to be like very easy for them to latch onto the train and just jump on and do great work. We couldn't hire those kind of people, which left us to hiring young people, people that had that were fresh graduates, or people that had just left school, maybe between 1 to 3 years ago. So maybe people that just finished NYC like a year ago or 2 years ago, or people that had just graduated and things like that. So that was the focus of our hiring. Those are the kind of people we're hiring. However, I was constantly frustrated because you get these people, they talk so good about themselves in their CV at the time, and all of those, and then they speak a lot of good English at the interviews, and then you employ them, and basic things, were lacking. I mean, some of them could not send proper emails. Some of them could not write properly, official writing. Some of them did not even know how to address a letter. Some of them did not even know, how to interact in a corporate setting, how to, how to sell. Some of them who even claim to study accounting, for instance, could not prepare certain types of accounts which were basic. So it was a stark realization of what we have always known, because everybody talks about how the education system in Nigeria is poor and all of those kind of things, right? But I was an employer, and this was like the first time it was really smacking me in the face that this is a real problem, not just in terms of people are not getting the quality of education that they need to get, but businesses as well are not going to get the right kind of employees and staff that they want, because the people that are coming out of the school system just don't have the skills. However, if we wanted to make a change in this regard, and we wanted to do it by changing the school system, everybody, you and I both know that that's going to take forever, right? We've been complaining about the school system for donkey years, right? No change has happened. So going that route wasn't going to work. So I began to think, how do I solve this problem for us? And then the thought came, what if we go to universities and go train people on the things that we are looking for? By training them, they will be in our database. After we train them and we know that they are good, we can just directly hire them. So this was a thinking for us. That was a thought process that eventually led to the founding of Competence Africa in August 2017. Now, Competence Africa today has trained thousands of people. We operate across multiple universities in Nigeria. We're an Africa-focused organization. We're expanding into other regions soon. But I told you the story so that you can see, how an idea came from a frustration that I had, right? So if you take a look at the places of passion and you take a look at places of frustration, you are also going to find, you're going to find ideas that you can build a business around. However, there is one that I did not put in this slide that is very intuitive. It is direct. It is the number one go-to place. It is look at the problems that the people around you are complaining about. That, even before you think about what you're passionate about, before you think about what you're frustrated about, first and foremost, what are people around you clamoring for? If there's a particular need in your environment that people are clamoring for, then solve it. That is an idea for a business right there in front of you. So if you can find a way to solve that problem, because people around you are already clamoring for it, it is easy. You can easily reach them with a solution. And once you reach them with the solution, they can easily adopt it because you know that it's a problem that they already have. This is the reason why, it is like the most basic way of starting a business, of coming up with an idea, of ideation, right? It is identifying needs in your environment. It is very simple. Everyone here that's listening to this, is currently in TRNC, right? If, for instance, there is people, Nigerians or people from African descent in TRNC, if they have some challenge, with regards to interacting with the motherland, right? Then, and everybody talks about it, somebody can create a business around that, and it would benefit that entire community. So identifying needs based on, what the needs in your society is, like the primary place to go, right? But if there's no need in your society that is jumping at you, then look at your place of passion, look at your place of frustration. The second thing is this: competence is the base. And this is not talked about very often, unlike what I just talked about. I mean, A lot of thought leaders talk about passion and frustrations and things like that, but I haven't heard a lot talked about competence. Now, this is what I mean. You would only be able to come up with sound businesses in the areas where you have competence. So forget about passion and frustrations for a minute. Even though you are passionate about something, if you do not have the competence around that thing, you will not know exactly how to deploy a solution. If you are frustrated about a thing, right? For instance, I'm frustrated about the bad roads in my area. The roads are bad, there are potholes everywhere. I can't even go to the extent of thinking about it as a business or trying to create a business model around it because I've never been in that industry. I don't know the first thing about building roads, infrastructure. I don't know anything about it. I don't have competence in that area. So regardless of the passion that you have or the frustration that you have, if you do not have certain competences, you are not going to be able to proffer solutions to problems. Now, when I was thinking about the frustration that I had with, the quality of people coming out of schools not good, I knew that I was a great trainer. I knew how to train people, right? So I knew that it's a competence that I have, and I know that I can train people as a skill. I have that skill. Also, in line with the skills that I'm looking for, right? There are things that I already know. So accounting skills, business management skills, then just corporate etiquette and all of those kind of things, right? Those are things that I already knew. So I had the content, I had the skill to train. So I could think of it as a solution. Elon Musk, right? Founded, he bought off Tesla and then is the founder of Tesla, essentially the CEO of Tesla, whichever one you want to call it, right? But before entering into Tesla, he was deep in the world of technology, renewable technology, right? And then Tesla just amplified it and then it just went from strength to strength. If you look at any entrepreneur, they start businesses based on their place of competence. That's where it begins from. Now, why am I emphasizing this and why is this important? If you are not a person that have built skills, if you are not a person that continuously acquires new competencies, you would struggle to come up with business ideas that are relevant. I take that again. If you are not somebody that consistently looks for new ways to acquire new skills, you will struggle with coming up with an idea. So if you want to be an entrepreneur, know this, that you must acquire relevant skills. And let me tell you this, relevant skills should not just be the things that you're passionate about. We are moving into a future that is going to be governed by a technocracy. Just like largely the world today is governed by democracy and communism, right? We're moving towards, even though there's a lot of countries right now that a lot of uninformed people are clamoring for socialism and all of those. But anyways, this is not a political class. Democracy governs today. We're moving into the future where technocracy is going to be the government. Now, what does technocracy mean? Technology is going to be the primary tool of leadership, either in government, in business, in private life, in corporate, even in social life. Technology is going to govern. Now, you see, that world of technocracy is going to be governed by, is going to be driven by technology, and that world is going to be led and managed by technologists. Please be mindful of these things. We're moving into a technocracy that will be driven by technology, that will be managed and led by technologists. Meaning that, see, I'm not asking you to go learn how to code. You can lead a tech company, or you can have a business that is tech enabled without necessarily learning how to code. But at the very least, this is what you must do. This is what you owe to yourself. You must have a functional knowledge, a working knowledge of every single piece of innovative technology. Even I, that I'm sharing this with you, I am in that process right now, where I am trying to acquire a functional knowledge. What do I mean by functional knowledge? that you know that thing well enough to understand how it works and how you can apply it to situations. You don't have to know how to build it. You don't have to know how to code it or how to embed it or how to utilize it, but you know it well enough to know how it can be applied to situations. So, artificial intelligence, we hear about it all the time. Robotics, blockchain technology, virtual reality, augmented reality, Internet of Things, big data, cloud computing. These are all technological concepts that are governing today and will continue to govern even into the near future. You don't have to go become a guru at all of these things, but please, you owe it to yourself to go acquire functional knowledge about these technologies. It is of critical importance in the future that you're going to play. Because guess what? If you're an entrepreneur today and you're thinking about, the regular basics, or let me start a fashion business where I'm just creating clothes for people. Let me start a food cart. Let me start this. Yeah, you're going to make money. But again, we're going to talk about this much later. You have to be able to distinguish between running a hustle and running a business. If you want to run a business, I'm going to define those later in the class. If you want to run a business, you must think globally. You must think long term. Those are two parameters that must guide your thinking, right? So your thinking on the y-axis must be long term. Your thinking on the x-axis must be global. Those two thought processes must govern all of your thinking as an entrepreneur, right? These are insights that just got refreshed in my mind in the past couple of days, and it has become one of the driving force behind every single thing. In fact, I wrote down in my notepad. I said to myself, any idea that you come up with henceforth, it must pass the test of globalization and it must pass the test of longevity. If it does not pass those two tests, I am not going to implement on those ideas. I just wrote that in my note, right? This is very important because it's not just enough for us to start businesses. We must also ensure that the businesses that we start can scale globally. The people who build global businesses don't have two heads. The people who build global businesses, they have access to the same resources that we have. It might not be in the same quotient or same quantities. Internet network in UK or in US might be better than internet network in Nigeria, but there is internet in both places. The access that we have is available globally. Now, you can complain that you don't have an equal measure, but is it available at least in some measure? Absolutely, yes. TRNC might not be the best place, but at least there are certain resources that are available that enables you to play in the global environment. So please think long-term and think global. Because of this, you need to acquire competencies, at least a functional knowledge of these core technologies that are driving change today. And then as you acquire those competencies, right, you can then begin to use them to solve problems. There's a friend of mine who runs a brand called Red Button. Red Button is a fashion brand, right? But the reason why that business is distinguished, it's a global business, by the way. They have engagement all across the world. It's a Nigerian fashion brand that has gone global. The reason why they were able to go global and operate at that level is because they've distinguished themselves with sustainability. So they infuse sustainability into fashion, which leads me to the next point. Innovation happens at the intersection of two industries. Innovation happens at the intersection of two industries. You see, if you are that person that you're thinking, okay, I don't just want to do what everybody's doing, we need to do something innovative. If you want to come up with an innovation, what the easiest and the most frequent ways by which you find innovation is where two industries meet. That point of it, that center point, that is innovation. Just like the example of my friend I was sharing, the innovation that took that brand global happened at the intersection of fashion and sustainability. Let me say it to you in a way that will blow your mind. You know Apple, everybody knows Apple. In fact, I reckon that a lot of us use Apple products. Apple is the most fashionable of all technology companies. And Apple is the most technologically advanced of all fashion companies. Think about that statement. Apple is the most fashionable of all technology companies. Apple is the most technology advanced of all fashion companies. Apple operates at the intersection of technology and fashion. It's not just a piece of hardware that you use for your technological needs, your computing, your phone, your whatever. It is a fashion statement. It is a social status statement, right? That is where Apple found their sweet spot, and they built around that sweet spot. They protected it with everything that they have, and they have become the greatest, in their space. If you think about a lot of other innovations, you'll find that they're just right there at the intersection of two industries. So if you're thinking about innovation, look at how can I apply an existing technology or a new technology or a disruptive technology or an innovative technology that is governing today. How can I apply it to, normal random things that we've always done, right? You could be creating mugs, for instance, and find a way to infuse a piece of technology into that, right? There are people who do it all the time. So I remember seeing on Instagram a few months back a ring that you can have just like a wedding band that you would feel you'll be feeling like the heartbeat or the pulse of your better half, right? So essentially what they've done is they've probably imputed some chip into the ring or something that enables it to track whatever. Do you understand? This is how things happen these days. So if you're thinking of starting a business, you might want to think in this direction. Innovation happens at the intersection of two industries. So look for that intersection. Remember, in order for you to find the intersection, you must have competence in both areas. So if I want to start a branding business that leverages artificial intelligence, I must understand artificial intelligence and I must understand branding. If I want to start an HR firm that leverages blockchain technology, I must understand blockchain technology. I must understand HR and people management. Do you understand? So you must build competencies extensively in order for you to come up with innovative ideas. The next thing is, once you come up with the idea, then you have to model it on a business modeling tool. There are a lot of business modeling tools out there. There is the business model canvas, which is the most popular one. It was the one that led the way. It is the pioneer in that industry. But after the business model canvas, there's been tons of other canvases that have come after that. They are different. Essentially, they are like one-page document that you could use to map your business model. So for instance, in the business model canvas, you would state the value proposition, what value it is that you're proposing. Then you state who is the customer that value is for. Then what is the channel through which you're going to connect the value to the customer. And then what kind of relationship are you going to build with the customer? Those are the kind of questions that he asks you. He then asks you, what's the revenue stream? How would you make money? What is your cost? What cost do you have to incur? Then what are your key partnerships? What key relationships do you have to build? And what key activities do you have to do in order to make it happen? Those are the 9 questions in the business model canvas, and you can just plot the answers to those questions in one sheet, and you have a sheet of paper that has very clearly the entirety of your business. That's what is called a business model. So it shows all of the different moving parts, how the business creates value, how it delivers value to its customers, and how it captures value in return. There are a lot of other canvases. The lean canvas is one that I like because I find it to be highly applicable, especially to startup businesses. So the lean canvas, you can search for the lean canvas, LEAN canvas on Google. You'll find it. If you go on Google right now and you type business model canvas templates, you'll find templates on it. So you can even download like Microsoft Word versions of it, and then you can edit it if you want. But once you come up with an idea, plot it on a business model. What it does is it helps you visualize your business, and it helps you make sense of the business. With the business model, by taking a look at the business model, you can understand how a business will make money if it is going to be a successful business. What it has to do in order to implement its ideas. You can have it right there on the canvas. So you want to check for any of these canvases online. There's a YouTube video that explains the business model canvas in less than 2 minutes. So go on YouTube, search business model canvas. It is definitely going to be the first video that you see, because that video has been watched millions of times, right? So take a look at any of the canvases and use it to plot your business model. Then the last thing is, before you begin to build a product or begin to do some very complex stuff, you need to prototype or validate your idea first. Now, what do I mean by prototyping? So I said prototype and validate. You prototype your idea so that you can validate the fact that it is a great idea, that it's an idea that would sell. So essentially, what you're doing is, if it's a product, right, that you can easily build like a mock-up of it, or you can build like a miniature version of it. You can try building the miniature version and try selling it. See the feedback that you get. Try selling it and see the feedback that you get. If people are not interested in buying, if you spoke to 20 people, right, that you think should be the ideal customers, and nobody is interested in buying, then that tells you that that is not an idea that should sell, right? But if you spoke to 20 people and 7 people indicated interest in buying, or they even attempted to buy, then that is validation that there's something here. There are many ways by which you could prototype or validate, right? For instance, you could start a Kickstarter campaign. I think if you're in TRNC, you should be able to do that. You can start a Kickstarter campaign or use a crowdfunding. One of the biggest uses of a crowdfunding platform is to validate an idea. So you have put out all the concepts about the idea. You put out videos, you put out pictures, you put out text about the idea and stuff. People are going on those platforms, they are seeing them. The question is, when people see it, will it captivate them enough? Will they commit to backing it? That is one way to validate. Another way to validate is to create a landing page, right? Say to people, we're coming up with this fantastic product. It will do this and do that and do that. If you'd like to be one of the first people to get it, click on this link. Send us your email address. Those things give you early validation if you have something tangible, or if it's an idea that you should take behind the barn and shoot, right? So that's it for ideation. The next thing, guys, is to move on to business planning. So at this point, you have come up with the idea, right? So you are there now. You have the idea. You've created the idea for the business. What are the things that you then need to do in preparing for this business to launch? Now, the first thing is a continuation of the last thing I talked about. Not only must you validate the idea, which was what the last validation talked about. So you have to prototype and validate. That was under ideation. And that one focused on validating the idea. Here, what I'm asking you is, you must validate the assumptions that underlie your idea and your business, not just your idea. So you must identify, test, and validate the assumptions that underlie your idea. So let me give you an example. So I say to people that I am going to start. Let me see. So I say that I am going to start a company that I'm going to start a software company, right? That would provide an accounting software to small businesses, right? So that's something that I'm doing right now. So I decided I was going to do that. Now, if I come up with that idea as the business idea, then I must be able to dig deep and question myself enough to come up with the underlying assumption. Because if you come up with that idea that you're going to create an accounting software for small businesses that would help them, manage their data properly, you are already assuming that small businesses are interested in managing their data properly. That could be right and that could be wrong. In fact, I've seen many instances where that is wrong. Some entrepreneurs just don't care. It depends on the type of entrepreneurs you're dealing with. But you have already made an assumption with that very idea. That's one of the assumptions, that these entrepreneurs are going to love to put their data together. Another assumption that you have made is that entrepreneurs will trust a software with their data. Now, I'm not saying that this is a right or wrong. I'm just saying find them for whatever idea it is that you have come up with. Identify those assumptions that you have made, because you don't consciously make them. You're just assuming at the back of your head that, oh, people would like this. What makes you sure that people will like it? Some people would say, oh, man, if we set up this idea, I will start this business, it is going to sell massively. What gives you that impression? Have you run through the data? Right? So somebody comes up and say, oh, this business will really do well. At least, I mean, everybody has this problem. At least I can see up to like 50 million people out of the 200 million in Nigeria buying this product. If you make such a claim, then you have made a number of assumptions. You have assumed that up to a quarter of the country has the financial power to buy what you're selling. Now, remember, if you observe what I'm doing right now, the conversation has shifted away from the validity of the idea. It's not about whether the idea is good or bad right now. It's just about the assumptions that you're making around the idea. You have assumed by that statement that I made earlier that, this product is so good, people will love it, right? At least 50 million people will buy it over the next 10 years. You have assumed that a quarter of the population of the entire country is ready, willing, and able. They have the financial capability to be able to purchase that product. Number two, you have assumed that they have a need for that product, because people can really be excited about something but not need it. If they're excited about it, they will talk about it. They will buy it when they need it. So you have assumed that they need it. You have assumed that they have the education level, like they have the education level to be able to utilize or comprehend that solution. For instance, if I say that and actually this is actual statistics from SMEDAN, Small and Medium Enterprise Development Agency of Nigeria. There are over 43 million businesses in Nigeria. 43 million businesses in Nigeria. If I'm now saying to myself, and out of those 43 million, about 41 million of them are micro, small, and medium-sized businesses. About 41 million of them. If I'm now saying to myself, there are 41 million businesses in Nigeria, right? So our accounting software that we're developing should be able to target them, right? Like, okay, let's say that competition has taken, say, 20% of that market, right? We can take the remaining part of that market. So let's say, give or take, roughly, there are about 32 million people, right? That 32 million businesses that will buy our product. Number one, I've assumed that all those 32 million businesses are still active. I've assumed that all those 32 million businesses are they are registered businesses or businesses that are intent on growing. I have assumed that I have the financial capabilities to reach a nationwide audience. Do you see what I'm trying to do right here? So your job is to dig, to find out, think deeply, what are the underlying assumptions of this idea? Identify those assumptions. That's the first thing you must do. Then test them to be sure that they are true. And then the third thing is for you to validate. So when you test, they would either be right or they would be wrong. If they are wrong, you need to adjust your business accordingly or adjust your expectations accordingly. If they are right, then you have validated that assumptions. You move on to the next one. All right. So that's the first thing you must do when you begin to plan for a business. The second thing I'm going to advise you to do is this. If you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go with other people. Essentially what that means, guys, is if you want to start a business, I personally would advise you, if it's a serious business you're starting, don't go it alone. Bring somebody else along. Have a co-founder, because two good heads, they say, are better than one. When two people come together, it's a blend of skills. Essentially, it's a multiplication of skills. It's a multiplication of competencies. It's a multiplication of experiences. It's a multiplication of perspectives. Essentially, what you're doing is you're giving more resource to the business. It also ensures that you can equally share burdens so you don't have to burn out. So I would always generally advise, if it's a serious business that you're starting, if you're running a business, please start with a co-founder. Don't just go alone. But I mean, there's some instances where you can't but go alone. I can understand. This is not a rule, it's just an advice, right? The next thing is build a functional economic machine. See, this one is one frustration that I have with this current generation. People build businesses with the intention that they want to raise finance. And it is primarily because in our generation, fundraising has been celebrated as business success. So a company raises funds from investors, they announce it in the news. Oh, this company has raised XYZ $million from this investor. Everybody celebrating. Oh, man, great, congratulations. Why on earth are we doing that? What the business has essentially done is like hiring a new staff. That's what it is like. Do you make that much noise when you hire a new staff? What you're doing is you're bringing in resources into the business to execute whatever it is that you want to execute. It does not mean that that business is a good business. It does not mean that it has a viable economic machine. Now, what do I mean by an economic machine, right? Businesses are built to create wealth. They are built in such a way that you take resources, you mesh them together into value, you deliver value to the customer, and you receive value in return at a superior rate that it costs you to create. Meaning that by the entire activities that you engage in, you are creating wealth. So your job as an entrepreneur is to find a way to build a machine that creates wealth. Build a profitable business from day one, if you can, and in many instances you can. There are only a few type of businesses, a few number of businesses that you probably cannot really start without significant capital. But in every other business, I would say 95% of all other businesses, right? 95% of all other businesses, and don't be classifying yourself within the 5% unnecessarily. 95% of all businesses, right? They can start without an injection of heavy capital. You can start with very little stuff that you have in your pocket and in your bank account. The goal of business is not to raise funding. The goal of business is not to raise investment. The goal is to build a functional economic machine. That is what valuation is based on. That is what wealth is based on. That is what the sustainability of the business is based on. So before you begin to think about, oh, I'm going to build this and I'm going to pitch for this, I'm going to pitch for that, I'm going to look for an investor, please build an economic. Even investors are getting smarter these days. They are always looking for traction. That is a disguised word that is used to mean you have started selling and you have started making money. I just thought to sound that note of warning. Now, when you start a business, bootstrap the process, right? Bootstrap the process. What that means is go lean. If you have not read the book, The Lean Startup, please go read that book. It's going to help you if you want to learn how to start a business without, especially a tech-enabled business without, a lot of money. But essentially, bootstrap. Don't start with injection of funds. If all you have is 200 TR in your account that you can spare, use it as a start. Don't go raising investment. Oh, I want to raise 10,000 TR, I want to raise 20,000 TR to start the business. No, bootstrap. Don't see, that's why there's a note in front of it. Beware of the edifice complex. Now, many times when people start businesses, the edifice complex takes a hold of them. Now, what does the edifice complex mean? Let me explain to you. Edifice complex is that feeling that you have that makes you feel like you have a business. Please pay attention to what I'm saying. Edifice complex comes from those things that you buy, that you pay money for, that makes you feel like you are in business. Not necessarily, mind my words, not necessarily the things that actually create economic value in the business, direct economic value in the business. Let me give you an example. You start a business today and the very first thing that you did was to go rent an office. If there's anything that COVID has taught us, you don't necessarily need an office to run your business. If there's anything COVID has taught us, that is it, right? So, but because You will like the feeling, or oh, meet me at my office. I'm going to be at the office on Monday. Please come see me at the office. Have you checked at the office? Please, could you send it to my office? All of those things, you're just polishing your ego. That's what you're doing. It's a feeling that you're in business, you know. Or you started today. The first thing you went to do is to build this beautiful, fancy, nice website because oh man, our website has to be perfect and everything. You have not even tested with one customer. You're building a website. Edifice complex, please be aware of it. When you start a business and you're bootstrapping, you spend money only on value creators, on gain creators. So you focus your money on things that specifically brings direct value. All right. So you're spending money on building your product. That brings direct value. You're spending money to acquire customers. That brings value. You're spending money in marketing activities. That brings direct value. Do you understand? Don't be spending money on things that just gives you a feeling. All right. And then somebody once said, and I always like to quote this, you don't need money to start a business, but you need money to grow the business. Right? Even when you start, you get to a certain point where, depending on the type of business, you get to a certain stage where you require an injection of capital to accelerate your growth. Not that without the capital, you will not grow. You would grow, but you grow at a slow pace. But if you have capital, you have a functional economic model. It's like a machine that is working really well. The more raw materials you pour into it, the more products it's going to bring out. But if you're just dropping the raw materials one, even though the machine is working really well, you're just dropping the raw materials one by one, you're going to be getting output one by one. But if you kind of like load the machine with a lot of input, you get a lot more output. So that's essentially what it is. You have bootstrapped your way through the process. You have built a business that is functional. You've built a very good economic machine. Then you can raise funds to accelerate your results, to grow the business faster, so you can seek funding. And funding comes from three places. The first is that the funding comes from investors. In exchange for that, you have to give equity. So you give them a part of your business, right? The second place funding can come from is that it comes from creditors. So the bank, loan giving agencies, cooperative societies, those are places that you can also get funding from. However, for this, the price that you pay is interest. The first one, investor, the price that you pay is equity, a part of your business, and then they begin to get a share of your profits. Creditors is interest. You even have to pay them first before you arrive at profit. You have to pay the interest first. The third one is my favorite. You can raise capital from the market, and all the market would demand from you is an exceptional solution. Let me tell you this, and this is from experience, and I knew this before I entered into the experience myself. Fundraising is a full-time job. Did you hear what I said? Fundraising is a full-time job. It's going to take a lot of time and energy invested. So the time and energy that you would have imputed into chasing investors everywhere and all of that, right? That time and energy. The same time and energy that you will have devoted into chasing creditors and trying to fill forms and this, devote that energy into improving your product and your solutions and your communication channels to customers. When you improve your product or service and ensure that it becomes excellent quality, and you improve your ways to get to the customer, the ways of communicating to the customer, so much so that more customers can hear you clearly, and then the product itself is ready to validate the message that you're saying, you are going to get much more capital faster. So I said this, the reason why I decided to break this down particularly above all the other things that I said is, I know that a lot of people have the intention and the desire to go raise funds. Or want to raise, you see, yes, it's fine. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but it would be great if your funds can come from your market. It would be, that is the, the Bible says that it is the blessings of God that maketh rich without adding any sorrow. It is the funding from the market that maketh rich without any obligations, without any crazy obligation. because it is your obligation to develop a great solution, right? So you have to do that in order to get value from the market. So that is it about, funding. Then getting started. Before I do getting started, I think I saw a comment coming at some point. Okay, so somebody was feeling it, was feeling the depth of the information. Okay, guys, we're about to round up because it's 4 p.m. already, even though we started 10 minutes late. But I want to also make sure that we have some time for questions. But getting started, now that you've ideated, you come up with a fantastic idea, you've tested your assumptions, you've bootstrapped your way, you've entered into the market, and you have built like a very good solution that the people are paying you money for. As you begin this process, right? There are three things I would like you to note, and those are three things on your screen. The first thing is this: the world is your oyster. There is no limit. There are no limits at any point. Again, it goes back to what I said earlier. Think global. Think global, please. Because I have found out, this morning I was thinking about whether I should go ahead and host my LinkedIn class for tomorrow or I shouldn't. And then I went to my Paystack page where registrations for my events go to, and then something caught my attention. Right, I looked at that page, and then I saw that the last training program that I did, right, that sold for 3,000, right, I got the same number of people as the last training that I did that sold for 75,000. The same number of people signed up for both. Think about that for a minute. Now, given the packaging and the work that went into the 75,000 training program was much more than that which went into the 3,000 program, but in terms of the entire process, the effort that went into setting up the entire process, ideating the program, publicizing the program, it was the same level of effort. So the same level of effort that got me a number of customers for a 3,000 naira program is the same that got me for a 75,000 naira program. And I got the same number of people. So here, guys, listen. The world is your oyster. There are no limits. Don't place any limit on yourself. Just research your market, know what is acceptable to your market, know what value you can communicate or you can offer at what price point, at what range, to what market, in what time frame, and then just go for it, right? That's the first thing. The second thing is there's a difference between building a business and building a hustle. There is no good or bad. You just have to choose what you want. Let me start with hustle. This is what it means to build a hustle. You feel that you're not making enough money and you just want to start a business as well on the side so that you can make some more money. So you started this business on the side and then you're making money from it. But as you're making the money, you now have more money to spend. So you're good. So you can buy more clothes, you can buy more food, you can live the lifestyle that you want to live, and then you just, once that money runs out, just go back to the business again. You push. Money comes again. You take care of yourself, you take care of your needs and stuff. That's running a hustle, right? But if you're going to build a business, it is beyond all of that. Not only must you come up with the idea that makes money, but the money doesn't belong to you, right? If you remember, I think it was the first class that we had, right, where it showed you an income statement that who gets paid first, and who gets paid next, and who gets paid next. I think it was this class. Please, can somebody confirm that it was in one of our previous classes that I talked about that I said that you, the entrepreneur, are the one who pays that. You are the one who gets paid last. Can somebody confirm that they remember that? Okay, I see a comment. Let me see. Oh yeah, great. So it was in this class. Fantastic. So, if you're running a business, that is your reality. Because you can't just take all the money and spend it on yourself. There is a structure that you must build. You must have a savings culture that enables you to pay yourself first, before you begin to pay everybody else. You must do more than every other. So if you're running a hustle, all you just have to do is speak to your customers, sell products to them, make your money, and be fine. Don't care about anything. But if you're running a business, you have to worry about registering your business. You have to properly register your business. You have to, build a brand around your business. You have to build brand credentials around your business. Have a website, have a logo, have this. You have to register your business. You have to do accounting for your business. You have to, ensure that you have legal policies for your business. You have to do all of those other business structure related things, right? So those are things that you have to do if you're running a business. Running a business, if you're running a hustles are always short-timed. They don't last forever. They don't last for long. But businesses can last 200 years, can last 100 years, 50 years. It can outlast you. So choose this day which you want. There is no good and there is no bad. Whichever one you choose is what works for you. But just don't mix the both. Don't mix the two. If you want to run a business, please run a business in its entirety. Build a culture, build a team, build the structures. If you want to run a hustle, please run a hustle, make your money and be well. The last thing I'm going to say is this: people do business with people. The entrepreneur is the enterprise. The enterprise is the entrepreneur. So you must be a great person. Personality matters a lot in business. You must be a great person, and that itself will rub off on your business. Plus, whatever is your own personal habit oftentimes tends to become the culture of your company. I'll take that again because it's quite important. Whatever your personal habits are, they are most likely going to translate into the culture of your organization. Whatever beliefs that you personally have is going to translate into the value system of your organization. So you must work on yourself because, like I said, the entrepreneur is the enterprise. The enterprise is the entrepreneur. So learn how to, especially when it comes to growing your business. Sales, it's based on the influence you are able to wield as a business owner. Guys, why do you think it is the CEOs of Apple and of Tesla that come to do product introduction, new product introduction? It's the charisma of the leadership that they bring and the influence that they wield in the world. Aside from the business, they have fans, they have following, they have a community about them. So when they come and they stand on that stage and they do the presentation and say, this is our new Cybertruck, some people wouldn't buy that Cybertruck not because it is a Cybertruck, not because of the features of the Cybertruck, but because of the person presenting it. Build your network, build the people around you, especially in this day and age of cancel culture, where if you don't align with certain ideologies, if you don't speak in certain things, if you think independently from the herd, you get canceled and stuff. It goes center. It's centered the personality. A couple of months ago, I think it was in early August, right? There was backlash against Facebook. People were doing boycott Facebook and all of those. People were withdrawing their advertisements from Facebook. What's it called now? PZ. Some other big companies were withdrawing advertising from Facebook. Why? Because Mark Zuckerberg said that Facebook is not the what's that word he used? Harbinger of truth, was that the word? But like essentially that Facebook is not the gatekeeper of truth, that people can come on the platform and use the platform as a social network. You can independently think on the platform, talk about what you want to talk about. If you want to talk about, it all came about with the whole thing with Trump and Make America Great Again and Black Lives Matter and stuff. So people were asking that Facebook shut down Trump on the platform, and Zuckerberg made that statement, and everybody started saying no, because it's not going to comply with what we want, boycott Facebook. And because he made the statement, it was the personality, he made the statement, people started withdrawing their advertisements from Facebook. Their stock prices started going down, right, until they made a follow-on statement where they kind of put out some palliative measures and stuff, and everything normalized again. But the point I'm trying to make is this: your personality matters a lot when you're going to business. So please watch it, build it, grow it. One of the ways by which you can grow it is to sign up for my LinkedIn upgrade masterclass that happens tomorrow, where I'm going to be training folks on I'm just bringing in 10 people actually, so just 10 people. I'm going to be training on how to maximize LinkedIn, how to ensure that your LinkedIn profile is optimized to attract opportunities. See, LinkedIn is a tool of positioning. We live in a day and age and a decade where you're no longer chasing things, right? You don't chase things, you position for things. LinkedIn is a masterful tool that you can use to position yourself, your business, and your personal brand. And I'm going to be teaching 10 people tomorrow how to maximize LinkedIn. If you'd like to sign up for that, you can do that right now. You have a link on your screen, paystack.com. I shared this with Pastor Desire last week as well. I mentioned it last week as well. So it's happening tomorrow, 12 noon West African time, which should be 2 p.m. in TRNC. If you'd like to sign up for that, please go to the link paystack.com/PAY/LUM. And you'll be able to sign up for that. And then we will see you in class if you choose to sign up. It has been an interesting 3 weeks ride. I am very, very grateful to every single person that has been a part of this series. Not just the admin, not just Pastor Desire, not just the people that have put this together, but every single person that have given me the privilege of your attention to listen to me speak, to hear the content that I share, and to deem it worthy of action, because I believe that you're taking action already. I am really grateful to you. I really do appreciate you. Thank you very much for the opportunity. And thank you to the organizing team. Thank you, that's led by Pastor Desire. Thank you so much for bringing me on this platform. It has been my palm-pleasing pleasure to be on this platform. I hope that we're able to do this sometime again, because it was really good. And I will take any questions that you might have. Thank you very much, everybody.
Wow. Mr. Davies, that was a lot. That was a lot to take in. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm going to ask, open the floor to questions. I hope you are ready for me. I'm going to open the floor to questions so that you can, because I want you to drill it down. And so that we're talking about business, running your business, starting your business idea and all of that. And I know there are a lot of people here who have that dream or that goal or that ambition to start a business. So what I've decided to do, I'm going to give you a bit of insight into the local market here. And then you will help us in a sense, contextualize. Yes, that's the word. In a sense, structure this thing. So number one, you mentioned registering the business. For a lot of regulations here, registering the business is not as straightforward as it is where a lot of us are coming from. And so for that reason, it's aside the fact that it costs minimum of $10,000 US. It also has a lot of paperwork and bureaucracy to go through. So most people don't. Secondly, so I think the first question there should be, how does one really essentially start a business, or what kind of business can we start without getting registered, so to say? The second thing you also mentioned was target markets and, fulfilling a need. Yeah, let me start from there, fulfilling a need, especially if it was back home. So now if we're here and we're trying to run a business, what kind of business can we do that would transcend borders, more or less? What kind of business can we do that would transcend borders? And then three, combining the question 1 and 2 together. So talking about registration, what kind of businesses can we start that would not require us to get registered given the circumstances? The second thing I would say I've asked is businesses that transcend borders that will definitely get paid. We have to secure the bag. Third is, how do we get paid? So for example, I'm a Congolese. I'm currently not in Congo. So if you pay some money into my bank account in Congo, I can't go withdraw it, more or less. Or I'm a Nigerian. I'm not in Nigeria. But if you pay money to my Nigerian bank account, thanks to the international spending limit, I can't withdraw it. So first of all, how do I get paid? And what's the way around some of these things? I saw that you mentioned investors. And I saw that you tried to break it down, but what would be, rather than spending time looking for investors, looking for someone who's going to give us, by the way, it's TL, not TR, Turkish lira, TL.
Okay.
Yeah. Looking for several thousand TL, several million TL. What's like the easiest shortcut to market, like the fastest route to market, And from there, we can expand that. So yeah, that's 4 questions for you that I think mirrors a lot of people, some of the other questions that some people have shared earlier. Before Mr. Davies starts to answer, if we have any other questions that here right now that some of my questions have not covered, please feel free to leave it in the comment section. Mr. Davies' time is fast running out, so please leave it in the comment section so he can take that for us. If there's any other question, just quickly leave a comment and then he can take that. Thank you very much.
Okay, so thank you very much, Femi, for those questions. I am going to try to be very brief about them. So first and foremost, the registration process in Cyprus is quite challenging based on what you've said. So here's what I'm going to say to you. Whatever business that you know that you can run without getting into trouble for not registering, please go ahead and run it. So if the environment is not conducive for business in a particular area, that doesn't stop you from building structure in other areas and omitting that one area out. Because right now, it just doesn't make sense for you as a business to go get registered because it costs a lot of money to get registered a business. And you don't even have that much money in your capital base. You're still trying to bootstrap. So you're currently excluded from that right now. So you can just, so long as you're not going to get into legal trouble or government trouble for not registering, and then you can conduct your business if you like, then please go ahead, whatever business. And Femi was trying to, or Femi tried to, at least with the second question and in a bit with the first question, tried to get me to touch on specific type of businesses that you can start. Well, I am going to equally decline to answer those kind of questions because here's the thing. I cannot tell you what businesses you would start that would be great because I am not the determinant of the greatness of the business. There are many businesses that have worked across the world in many different industries. The idea that you choose would be a combination of, number one, where is the market for the idea? Is it a market that you can reach? Is it a market that you can relate with, right? Who has done this before? What can I learn from them? What skills do I have to solve this problem? Can I solve this problem? How can I monetize this problem? These are questions that you have to ask yourself to find the right idea. For instance, people talk about product market fit. There's something that is not often talked about. There is person product fit. Somebody that lives in a slum cannot come up to be, position really. Somebody that lives in a slum that does not even have a bicycle, not to talk of have a motorcycle, not to talk of have a car or something, cannot come up to say he wants to begin to sell Mercedes-Benz cars. The person, the lifestyle does not fit or mesh with that brand. So there's no person product fit. So I can come here and say, oh, here are some businesses that you can start, right? You can begin to export, small stuff from one point to the other. You can begin an online business where you open a shop on Shopify. You can begin to sell on Amazon. You can do drop shipping and buy from Alibaba and, deliver across the world. Those are all business ideas, by the way. But while I can say all of that, it's still going to be vague, however it is we want to say it. Because what will work for you is whatever you make work for you, based on your skill set, the market that you can relate with, that you have a person product fit with, the ideas that you have, the needs that are around you. Those are some of the things that you need to factor in, right? But Femi talked about businesses that transcend borders. See, if your business is going to transcend borders, then you're going to have to use technology anyways, right? I mean, this is another major thing that COVID accentuated for us. There were a lot of businesses that still felt like, they had to be out there. They had to, go out and, meet in person, travel across international borders to make it happen. During the pandemic, they found ways to use technology, which is the reason why I said earlier, go learn technology, at least have functional knowledge. I'm not saying go learn how to code or go learn how to build robots or anything of that, but learn a functional knowledge. Let it be that when people are having the conversation about artificial intelligence, you can contribute because you know how it works, you know what it is, you know how it can be applied. Do you understand? Get a functional knowledge. If you're going to build any type of business at all that is going to be trans-border, then he has to leverage technology. Then not only must he leverage technology, but you yourself must begin to position yourself as a global citizen, not just a citizen of a country or not just a resident of a country. You must position as a global citizen. For instance, if I have a business that appeals to a global audience, right? When I'm having conversations, I'm not going to be talking about Naira. Everybody knows that the central currency across the world for exchange is the US dollar. So when I want to make examples, even when I'm joking, even when I'm making examples, even when I'm giving facts, I'm going to be giving them in Naira, in dollars, because I am positioned as an international business using technology, right? So those are some of the things that you need to do. And then the next question was, how do you get paid? Well, again, technology seems to be the answer to everything. Remember, I told you we're moving into a technocracy, right? Getting paid, is something that there's been a lot of innovation in the fintech space in the last 7 years. A lot of companies have come up in different countries solving different forms of problems with regards to payments. I'm trusting that if you do your search, you would find, I can relate to those that have come from Nigeria. You'll find the pay stack, that allows you to accept money from anywhere in the world. You'll find the Rave, Flutter Wave. You'll find there are a lot of fintech products, by the way, of the African continent. And I know that there are a lot as well globally. There is Stripe, there is PayPal, right? I know PayPal, as a Nigerian in Nigeria, you cannot create a PayPal account, but you can pay using PayPal. I mean, you can, I don't know, but if you're in TRNC, I don't know, but possibly you should be able to use PayPal. But PayPal is, one of the pioneers in that space. So PayPal is global, Stripe is global. Which other one do I know of? Payoneer is another one, even though I haven't used them in a long time. But these are all payment channels that are global in many regards that you can use to collect money from different regions of the world, right? So long as those platforms can collect money in the TRNC, then you can use it for your payment. You would only have a restriction if that platform cannot collect money in that country. For instance, PayPal cannot collect money in Nigeria. They haven't made that happen. Hopefully they will make that happen. So this essentially, technology is how you get paid. But even in a case, if there's ever a case where technology cannot help you, at least, or maybe say there is no direct technology solution, remember, that is why you're an entrepreneur. Your job is to solve problems. The day that your spirit, soul, and body had a meeting and decided that entrepreneurship is your path, that day you must understand that something happened to you. All your excuses flew out of the window. I don't know went out of your vocabulary, right? If you're working in HR and somebody brings a finance problem to you, you can say, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not a finance person. It's not my forte. Maybe you should speak to this other person if you're working in HR. Even if you are at the very top of HR, right? Maybe you're like the Oga of HR, you're the leader of HR in a particular company, and somebody brings a finance problem to you, you can conveniently and easily say, I'm sorry, it's not my problem. You can refer to somebody else. If you're an entrepreneur, there's no problem that they bring to you. You must solve it. It's your business. Who sent you message? I ask myself that question many times, right? But these are some of the things that you must be aware of if you want to be an entrepreneur. Your job is to solve problems, right? The last one is shortcuts to market. What are the ways that you can really make these things very easy? See, one of the shortcuts that you can take is social media. Social media is a massive space. I know you've heard it before, yes, but I will say it because it works. It works. My training programs are primarily publicized on social media. I share it on Facebook. I don't use Facebook. I share it on Instagram and LinkedIn. Those are my primary platforms. Occasionally, I share it on Twitter and then my WhatsApp stories. I use social media and I get, people come to my training programs. People pay for my training programs, for my products. I have a book an audio program that is called How to Become Disciplined. People pay for it online. Social media is a good place to start. It's a massive shortcut that you can take advantage of. Another shortcut that I'm going to talk about, and this is where I'm going to wrap up, except there are other questions, is you can leverage online marketplaces. There are a lot of online marketplaces today that you can offer your skills. For instance, Fiverr is one. Upwork is another. So if you have skills that you want to offer, and you can offer it to a global audience. You see people post different jobs that they have, and then you can go on there, and then you can, offer your service as a business or as a company or as a person, and then you get paid for the work that you do. If teaching and training is something that you enjoy doing, Skillshare is a fantastic platform. You record sessions, you record a course, you put it on Skillshare. Skillshare will pay you, for every minute that people watch your course, right? So that's another shortcut. If you're into products and all of that, e-commerce is your way to go. You can become a seller on Amazon. You can become a seller on Alibaba and all of these other international platforms. So that those are shortcuts that you can take. But one of the things I'm just going to wrap up with is this. Every single answer I have given to these 4 questions, technology is at the center of it. This is why it is important. See, let me emphasize it again. We are in a world, and will continue to live, at least for the next 10, 20 years, in a world that is governed by technocracy, that is driven by technology, managed and led by technologists. Thank you very much. Any other question?
Thank you very much, Mr. Davies. Is there any other question in the house? Any other question in the house? I like that you gave specific examples on some of the ways we could solve those problems and how.
Even though I didn't want to.
But I know. We appreciate you for that. We appreciate you for that. Thank you very, very much for that. So yeah, if in the absence of a question, I'll just share this so we can round up and then go. That one major thing that Mr. Davies has said is finding a need, finding an opportunity, and then if you have the skill set to fulfill that need, to solve that problem, step into that space and then solve that problem. I think that stayed with me, and I think I got a small gig. I got a gig last month just by employing that online. Somebody sent me a document to read, and I read it. And I replied and I said, well, this document looks nice, but I see that it's not looking well designed and all of that. I could help you design it if you're interested. And she replies and says, oh, okay, so that's nice. I'm not looking for a designer, but there's something you can help me with. And so she sends me, can you help me with that? I'm like, yeah. She's okay, how much do you charge? And I'm like, wow, okay, I did not see that coming. And long story short, I send her an invoice, she pays. And for context, this person is in the south of Cyprus. So we're in the north, this person in the south of Cyprus. So I have not met her before. We just met online, and the conversation went on from that point. And so I send her an invoice, she pays, and we deliver on the job, and and that's that. So if you're able to identify a need, like Mr. Davies has said, and you have the skill set to match that need, social media is a great place for you to get started. In the absence of any other questions, I just shared that so that we know that a lot of the things that you have shared with us work, and it's not just building castles in the air. In the absence of any other questions, Mr. Davies, any last words so that we can bring this to a close?
Yeah, finally, I'm just going to say to every single one that has been a part of this, either for the whole 3 weeks or for any of the sessions or just for today, I'm going to say to you that I know that I've shared a lot of, insightful things over the 3 weeks, but all of those things they're not going to mean anything to you in 2 weeks from now, because you will have forgotten if you don't take action on any of them. If you really want to maximize it, only doing makes a difference. It's when you take action that differences would happen. And here's the thing, don't overthink anything, right? Don't overthink. Just whatever it is that your hand finds to do, just do it. Whatever idea that comes, don't give yourself excuses. Your mind comes up with a ton of excuses not to do things. right? And I teach people this all the time. I trained people 2 days ago on how to do podcasts, right? And immediately, right, I have 3 of them that have launched a podcast. It was gratifying to me when we had another class today, and I was listening to their podcast. I was vibing at their podcast, and I was very happy. However, I trained a class of, I think, 17 people, but it was 3 people. Now, so here's the thing: if you don't take action, it's not going to mean anything. This investment of time, and resource that we all have made together to put together this platform and be here, is not going to mean anything. Anything. See, it's just going to be one of those instances where you go to church on Sunday, and pastor is preaching, you're really enjoying it, and you say, "Oh, pastor, write down," and all of those things, and you're writing notes, and then you get home and you're like, "Oh man, service today was great," and the person was like, "Okay, what exactly was did the pastor preach about?" And you're like, God moved. God moved. It was a huge move of the Spirit. And you're not able to pinpoint the specific. You see, in the moment, your mind, your humanity would appreciate the value in the moment. You're getting the insights, you're getting the depth, is really making sense. But if you don't take action, 2 weeks from now, you'll have heard many other things. We live in a world where there's a lot of information coming at us. On a daily basis, more information will come to you. It will crowd out all that you've learned in these 3 weeks, and it's going to be meaningless to you. See, me, I've planted my seeds, right? As God helps me. Remember what we ended with last week, the message from the king. God is interested in profit. He has given you time. You have utilized this time to acquire this knowledge. The question is, will you be profitable with this knowledge? Will you translate it into a skill? Will you be able to say, I invested my most important resource in going to this program, right? I learned a lot, and here are my returns. If that is the testimony that you have, then I will be fulfilled, and God will be happy with you, and you will be the biggest beneficiary of all. With that, I'm going to say, if you'd like to sign up for my LinkedIn program, please ensure that you sign up. It's paystack.com/pay/LUM. If you'd like to reach out to me at any point, Instagram is the best place. Instagram and LinkedIn, those are the best places to find me. Just search for @Davies Okeowo on Instagram or Davies Okeowo on LinkedIn. Send me a direct message. Let me know that you are from this platform, and then we can pick up a conversation there from. With that, thank you, Femi. Thank you, Pastor Desire. Thank you, Zoba. Thank you to the entire team. And thank you to everybody that has been a part of this. God bless you, and see you soon, hopefully.
Thank you very much.